So here we are. It's just as promised. I'm doing another one. And it took me all day to sort of figure out what I wanted to talk about. But I think I want to talk about what I'm going to attempt to talk about clearly is accepting your own bullshit. Now, I am very aware of the fact that it is very hard to do. There's just no easy way around it. And it's so much easier to blame other people or other things or other circumstances than accepting that you may have a part in the situation, and I think people look at their lives and say that, well, it's because of this or that, but why do you keep putting yourself in that same situation? It's like when they say in memes, don't be mad when somebody drinks your energy dry because you keep giving them the straw. Stop giving them the straw. So putting yourself in those situations. And everybody has different circumstances, and sometimes you really can't help it. But if it's constantly happening and you're not seeing yourself as someone who has survived and moved on and done greater things and exist in greater places, well, why is that? What are you not thinking about? What is the hidden thing that's keeping you or holding you back? And that takes a lot of deep reflection and deep work to look into and to think about. And it's not easy. And I've been there. I have been to the depths of hell, saw my throne, and came back because that's the mandate I was given when I incarnated once again on this planet. So here I am. But I had to stop and look at myself and think, why do I keep putting myself in these situations? And started taking myself out of those situations. And a lot of people do get upset with me about that. My family's always like, you can't cut people off just to cut them off. And I'm like, snip, snip, and scissors. Um, uh, you know, um, but it has made my life better to be able to take control of that emotion. And yes, some people will look at it and be like, okay, but you have no emotion around it. Is that really healthy? Maybe not, but it allows me to move forward. It allows me to do better. It allows me to not leave myself in circumstances that don't work for me and that don't value me, you know, and whatever those things are. I recently left a job that I loved. I loved being there. I loved doing what I was doing, but I was undervalued and I knew it. And it was really beginning to harm me. And so when the opportunity came up for me to go to grad school, I was like, all right, here we go. And now I have everything on magic money. Now I just keep borrowing. It's fine. Spirit's gonna make it all work because I got into school. I'm gonna get through it. Um, yeah. But there we go. Like, there's another point. So yeah, I've put myself into debt, but I also know what the outcome is going to be. I know what it's worth. And I do look at this like it's a giant wedding. And when I come out on the other end, it's going to be my name, Teachers College Columbia. Like, that's what it'll be. Uh, so it's just a wedding. Other people spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on just a wedding for a day to feed their friends and family. Not me. I'm not getting married. And you can feed yourselves. So, I had to stop and really think about what is it that was putting me in the situations that I was getting myself into, and how do I claw myself back out? How do I rescue myself from this? And part of it really was to remove myself and to pull back and to look at situations around me and see what I wanted to do and what I wanted to be in. And the same thing goes with lots of things, with losing weight or exercising or starting a new diet or moving to a new town or constantly moving. Whatever the thing is that you're looking at and you're saying, What I'm currently doing is not working for me, but I keep constantly doing it, or I keep suffering. Someone I knew once used to tell me, "You're suffering over your own suffering." And I was like, yeah, no, that makes sense. I am. And what that really meant was I was putting myself in situations that weren't serving me, hurting myself, and then looking back and going, well, that really hurt me. Well, no shit, Sherlock. You knew it was going to hurt you. You did it to yourself. Hello. Yes. So, again, I've been there. I've done this. But then I did the work to get myself up and out and to move forward and to do other things and to be better than what I was many years ago. And now I've done it. I had a client who has been with me for a long time, and they said, yes, I, meaning that person, has gotten better and I'm getting stronger and doing all of these things. But, like, look at you. Look at you're in grad school, you're doing all of these things, you're fully delving into your business, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, oh my God, yeah, no, we're kind of badass. Rock on us. And it's true, you know. And I think that once we start to look at ourselves and our bullshit, that we'll start to all feel better and we'll stop blaming each other. And that will make the world a much better and more peaceful place, because right now it's not. Right now, 80% of the problem is people blaming other people for their own stuff. It's for us in America, it's not the people crossing the southern border. They're not the whole problem. That's not the whole issue. You're mad at them for trying to find a better life, to trying to do better for themselves. And we can get into the legalities of illegal versus legal and all this kind of stuff and these man-made constructs of borders, right? But even if we don't, even if we just look at it, here are people trying to get out of situations and make a better way for themselves. Situations that I couldn't even begin to understand as a very pampered American living the couche life. Like, that's it, right? But I did work hard to get here. I did do what I needed to do. And some of it did come from my family, and some of it did come from other people helping me along the way. But if I didn't do the work, I wouldn't have been in the position to do those things that then again helped me or allowed me to step back and say, okay, I can't do this, guys, I need help. Because asking for help is really hard sometimes. And wanting to be there is really hard sometimes. And not everybody can do that. So you pull back and you wonder, what's the point? Well, the point is for you to look inside yourself and figure out why it is that you keep doing it. And now for me, being a somatic healer, when I listen to my teacher, Sa DeSimone, and I think about what he has told us in a lot of our meetings about dropping the story. Drop the story. Face the facts and drop the story. And when you do that, and you stop repeating the pattern, repeating the story to yourself, you move that needle out of that groove on the record of your life, and the tune goes on. That was really brilliant. I hope you guys really enjoyed that. That was really off the cuff, but I got it. I got it all in there. Anyway, but yeah, you know, in many of our trainings, and I am allowed to talk about this part of it. In many of our trainings, he'll tell us about, when you dip into your body and you're looking at things or you're thinking about things, if that story starts to come over you and take you over, that's the place where you need to sit and be with it and look at it and feel it and then release it. Right? And part of the reason that I took his training was because of my diamond meditation. That I've been doing that sort of for years, but not in the full form of the whole physical body, but people just sitting and meditating. And so I wanted that. I wanted the other body piece. I wanted the physicality piece of it. And being on the dance floor and getting into that emotion and digging into that place and dancing through it and then releasing it is earth shattering. It's life changing. It's amazing. But it's also really hard to start. When I was doing the training, all of the stuff that I thought I had dropped, that I thought I had let go, started coming up. And I was like, where have you come from? You were done. You're gone. And it wasn't. It was just laying there, latent in the bottom of my body, like, this is what we're going to do. And it was really hard, but I did it. I sat with it and I did the work and I got through it. And I think that's really the point that I'm coming to, that when you sit with it and you do the work and you let it go, now when it comes up, if somebody were to say something to me, I wouldn't have this visceral reaction or even just feel it in my body and want to have the reaction like, oh, okay, don't freak out, because it doesn't have that same kind of power anymore, you know? And that's really important, and it's important work. And I hope that everybody really begins to do that. Because again, I think that if we start accepting our own stuff and accepting our place and the things that we do in this world to create the world, because each one of us is a supernova, you know? We have this small little thing that bursts and it reverberates throughout everything. And if we're not doing the work to be better, we're doing the work to be worse and to just continue to pump out that negativity. And it's so unnecessary. It's so not necessary. Believe me, it's so not necessary. We can really do this. We can, as a species, we fully have the capability to step back, to stop being violent, to stop being aggressive, to stop hurting one another, and look at ourselves and say, how do we fix this? How did we get here? How did we do this? But when people are just so full of rage and anger and fear and discontent, we end up where we are today. We end up not being able to look at the scars and wounds and bruises and say, I made it through. Instead, we look at it and we blame other people. And we hurt ourselves. And we hurt other people for being hurt. You know, it's the same thing that, in relationships. I try not to bleed on the people who didn't cut me, who didn't hurt me, who didn't rip my heart out. And it's hard. And that's part of some of the tough conversations I have now with partners. Like, here it is. Here's the good, the bad, and the ugly. And it's going to get ugly. A lot of it. It's going to be a problem. And you're going to have to look at me and think I'm the prettiest little demon you've ever did see. And how do we fix that? And how do you stand up and not allow your wounds to affect this? And sometimes it's not easy, and sometimes we clash and we have those things. And then we pull back and be like, okay, wait a minute. Where is this coming from? What's happening here? What is this thing? What's standing in the middle of us? And it's important, but it's heavy and it's hard. It's hard work. It's the same with my kids. They know that they can call me anytime. Anytime. I will answer the phone. I will be there. But we've had the tough conversation. We have had to own our own stuff. I have forced them to own their own things and have those tough conversations. They don't like having. They really don't like having them. They've gotten a lot better at having them. But they will start with the, here she goes, face. But then they get into it because they know we're going to solve the problem. Right? We don't just lash out and hurt each other just to lash out and hurt each other. We do the right things. Please don't ask me why my voice keeps cracking. I can't have a clue. think I'm fine, but there were bugs here and we sprayed, so maybe I'm asphyxiating myself. I don't know. Pray for me. Um, but yes. And see, I did it to myself. I sprayed because I don't do bugs on the inside. Bugs can live on the outside. I make a very nice little habitat for them outside. Don't come inside. Anyway, so yes, moral of the story: start to accept your own bullshit, acknowledge your own bullshit, change it. Stop doing the same thing over and over again, and learn what really is somebody else's fault and what you allowed other circumstances or things or people to come in and cross your boundaries to cause that distress. So that's it. Signing off.